Uh,
So I told you I had a little crying episode. My eyes are super puffy. It's ridiculous. I drank water, knocked out, heard your text, jumped up and freaked out because I never wake up late. I'm just like a hot mess this morning.
well, that's what I was getting at too. I went out last night. I was out with some guys from college,
Oh,
and I
God.
wake up this morning and my shoulder is like hurt. I have no clue what happened. I don't know what's going on. All
Oh
I
my
know is I'm
God.
getting old, and apparently, if I just leave my house past a certain time, I come home later.
It's like Cinderella. I'm
Yeah,
serious. Like I'm just a mess. I was like, oh my gosh. And then you text me like details and I'm like freaking out. I was totally freaking out this morning. I was like, I'm just, yeah,
yeah. I
glasses,
don't know.
can't see the puff.
Yep. It's that sort of morning. Why don't we jump into the show?
Let's go.
Good morning and welcome to What's Good Sacramento. You're here with Mac, the mortgage man, and Lisa, your local Sacramento realtor. Lisa, how you doing this morning?
Good morning, Matt. Good morning, Sacramento. Well, I can't lie to you all and say that I'm doing a fabulous. I'm kind of a hot mess this morning, but you know what? Speaking of what's hot, let's just jump right into it. So, some things that we talked about last week, I want to piggyback this week because I was listening to the morning news. Yeah, I'm old. I like to listen to it while I get ready for work, but they're still highlighting, the old Sacramento waterfront tree lighting. I think that's such a huge thing for everybody, especially now that we're in winter season. Christmas is on the horizon. We have Thanksgiving next week. I cannot believe it. So, if you guys want to check that out, that's something to do. Take your family. If you got the family coming over for the holidays, such a great event. But then here's something else. So, I looked this up and I was like, Trans Siberian Orchestra, The Ghost of Christmas. Have
Hmm.
you ever seen anything like that?
I haven't, but I really want to. It's one of the things that I can honestly say is something that I would think that I wouldn't want to go to. And I really do want to go to it because I always see it in West Sac, right? Like
Yes.
I think the tents or something are set up in there, but I really like um live music, and I really like because it's sort of orchestra, right? The way I
Right.
understand it, and that sort of appeals to me, and I like the aggressive rockness of the Christmas music. So I have always wanted to do it, but I haven't yet. So maybe something I can add on my list for this season.
Exactly. And I can't say that I've ever participated in that or went, but I was like, I think about Nevi and I'm like, things to do, or even just like a date night. I'm like, that's totally cool and something different to put on like the to do list.
Hmm.
Yeah, for an experience. All right. So here's something else, you guys, for those of you that are music enthusiasts like I am. Can't say that Mac might know, but Trey songs. If you're into R&B hip hop, you know who he is. Mac, do you know who Trey Songs is?
So we talked about this a little bit before. I think I know who he is. I went from a hard no, I don't know who that is,
Oh my
to I think I know this. And let's be very clear about this. I do know music and I do know rappers. Okay, I grew up on Bay Area hip hop. Okay, so I know Mac Dre. I know West Coast, East Coast. I know what's going on, but I'm also really eclectic with music. I like country music. I like rock. I like classical. So don't judge me, guys. All right, show me a little
Kind
bit
of,
of
yeah,
love.
but okay. I like that eclectic that you threw in there. But yeah, so Trey Songz is going to be performing locally here in Sacramento, the Park Ultra Lounge, actually tonight. So it's kind of last minute, you guys. But if you want something to do, you want to go on date night, you want to go to a club, that's like the whole nightlife.
Or
I
if
think that
you're
was pretty
young
cool.
and still go out because you're
Yeah, and you're
young.
not like
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Not like Mac.
Mm,
Hurt shoulder. Don't know
yeah.
what
Yep.
happened. But the last thing again, like I want to emphasize is the ice skating rink. I just feel like it's a staple when you think about like Thanksgiving and holidays. People associate that with like, oh my gosh, let's go ice skating. So
Hmm.
downtown, they got the ice rink open now, active. Drive by it, looks super cute. So that's definitely something you and your families can enjoy.
Yeah, I forgot to mention when you brought up the Park Ultra Lounge. I should have sent it to you and we could have talked about it on the episode, but they just came out with the list for Arco Arco? No, that's totally not right.
No.
Jesus,
Golden
I'm old.
One?
Yeah, I am so
Whoa. Do
old
you
right
live
now.
here?
For Golden One, the list of artists that are going to be playing there next year. Maybe we'll do that on the next episode.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Hmm.
Sweet. So let's talk a little bit about what's current, what's happening on the news.
Let's try it one more time.
Okay.
Current market news.
Oh, okay. So let's talk about the current market news.
All right, current market news. So, guys, I know we've been harping, we've been talking about it. Everybody is standing still. We're not making moves, right? I mean, yeah, some people are buying. That's always going to be the case, right? Because things do happen. But for those who can wait, they are waiting. But we've had a little bit of switch in the right direction for a lot of people. We are going to be bringing up some TikTok videos. We're going to watch them and we're going to take a look and do a little bit of discussion on what we think. So let's go ahead and bring those up.
But a recent survey by Fannie Mae revealed that's not necessarily the case. Only 29% of mortgage holding homeowners actually plan to stay longer in their homes than initially planned. And just 21% attribute it to lower rates. Other factors are at play. 19% like their homes and location, so they don't want to move. 13% find home prices too high to move, and another 13% want to stay close to work and family. The study also found that baby boomers are opting to age in place, and people in general are just moving less. I'm Christina Leavenworth with your real estate news.
All right, so great video. We're gonna do one more. I know a little different than last week, but from the same content creator. We're gonna go ahead. We're gonna watch that one, and then we're gonna talk about all of them together. So let's watch this last one.
Mortgage rates have been on a bit of a roller coaster ride lately, but finally some good news for potential home buyers. I'm Christina Leavenworth with your real estate news. The average 30-year mortgage rate is currently around 7.76%. And although still relatively high, it has dipped by 3 basis points in the past week. And this marks the first decline we have seen in 2 months. So what's causing the shift? Well, a couple of things are at play. First, the October jobs report revealed that the U.S. added fewer jobs than expected, which could be a sign that the economy is starting to cool off a bit. Second, the Federal Reserve decided to hit the pause button on the federal funds rate at its recent meeting. And when the Fed does this, it's often a good sign for mortgage rates. But don't pop the champagne just yet. Fed Chair Jerome Powell has mentioned that they might raise the rate again if inflation doesn't get under control. So for mortgage rates to drop significantly, we need to see consistent signs that the U.S. economy is indeed cooling off for the long haul. It's a bit of a waiting game, but keeping an eye on those rates, definitely if you're in the market for a new home. I'm Christina Leavenworth with your real estate news.
Real estate news lady. I mean, she's pretty good. I always sort of thought that like that sort of format was something that I might want to do as well. And she beat me to it. I don't know. Maybe I'll do real estate lad or real estate guy or something news. But yeah, no, I think it's really good. Why don't we talk about the first video though? Let's talk about
19%
yeah.
that want to stay in their homes because they like it. Like, think
Yeah.
about the percentages that she's throwing out there. It's interesting, right?
Well, there's a lot of great stuff in there just in general, right? I mean, we're talking about the biggest narrative is people are staying in their home because the rates are so low, right? Or are they locked in rates that were really low? And I can attest to this. I got a low rate, right? I mean, that was one of the benefits of being a realtor at that time is I knew exactly what was going on in the market and being a loan officer and I knew what was going on. I knew how to navigate it, and I was able to get into a house that is something that made sense, right? But I think what a lot of people aren't talking about, and she brought up, and let's get your opinion on this,
Mm-hmm.
is because rates were so low, people got homes that were much nicer than they normally would have got. And so why would they want to move? They got this amazing home at this amazing price, right?
It's so true. And it's like, you know what she said? I like the little end part because she said, well, she talked about baby boomers and then she mentioned people stay in their homes because of family and work, right? So
Mhm.
that's a motivation when we're shopping around and we're looking for our home. We got to think about distance for commute. How far am I willing to travel for work? And
Mhm.
then do I have family in the area? So I think those are so relevant. And if the price is right and the interest rate is good and I'm locked in on a 30-year fix and I
Mhm.
can afford this, I mean, yeah, I'm not really moving anywhere because right now I might not be able to find
Right.
something comparable unless the motivation behind my move would
Mhm.
be maybe a new job
Yeah.
or my family's getting bigger or I need
Mhm.
whatever that is, you know. But yeah, I thought it was great. I was like, oh, okay. So when we look on the flip side on the housing market, there is stability when you're out there shopping and looking for homes. Inventory isn't as much. This
Mhm.
could attest to the whys behind it.
Yeah, it's such a I mean, the economy is playing a huge role in this, and the fact that people did good rates are there. But I think it's not the only thing that's going on, right? And that's sort of what she's talking about. And I think that's why we sort of gravitate towards some of these videos because we're like, okay, that's an interesting take that we sort of didn't have on it, right? And we've
Hmm.
been looking at a lot of different factors. Now, obviously, I think when we're talking about the boomers and the silent generation that are staying in their homes and why not? It's completely paid off. It's probably a pretty nice house by now. Things like that. Then, yeah, that makes sense that they're going to stay there. They're not going to move or whatever it is. But also, the average time for people to move is 4 years and then 7 years, right? And it's only been if you even if you bought at the very beginning of when things were happening, it's only been like 2.5 years, right?
So you're
So
telling us we have about another what, year and a half to two? Yeah.
if the normal statistics play out,
Yeah.
then yeah, people are gonna either start making a decision on because think of it this way, right? You're a young family, you buy your first starter home, right? It's a great starter home. And most people, I think are relatively conservative. We do get the typical or the occasional buyer that wants to max out everything they get, but most people are like, oh, I'm going to get something that makes sense.
Hmm.
That home might not quite be large enough. And so you get, the average family size, which is two additional, little munchkins running around. So you buy your house, maybe you buy a 2 bedroom, one bath. So you have a bedroom for yourself, you have a bedroom for, your one child. And then you now are going to have another kid in, this 4 to 7 year span. And so now you need another bedroom, or you're working from home. So you need an office and you need a bedroom. And so it makes sense on the general life cycle of couples who get homes and then typically will have children. Although we could talk a little bit about the declining population rate and how people are having children later. Maybe that is going to change that statistic for us.
Could very well be, but I like
Hmm.
the way you outlined, the family tree line.
Hmm. Right.
One baby, unless you had twins the first go around. Whoops.
Ooh, yeah.
Sharing a room. But yeah, typically it makes sense. And so
Mhm.
there's always that chance of wanting to upgrade or, like you said, just to get into your first house. It's exciting. It
Mhm.
might not be the everything, my forever home,
Mhm.
but there might be intentions to either rent that out at a later date, sell it, or an
Mhm.
upgrade. So I liked her take on, the market and what's going on.
Yeah, I think, at least for myself, and granted, I do approach real estate different than I would say, the typical American because we didn't necessarily buy for memories, right? Which is, I think, how most people should buy. They're buying their home to build their lives and their family in. We are more sort of investment sort of people.
Yeah.
And there's no reason for us to leave such a good investment at this point, right? When the
Mhm.
market turns, that's when you're going to start to see people that are a little more like myself and yourself getting back into the market more aggressively on maybe trying to find something and then rent the property that they have. So we'll see. But let's talk a little bit about the second video. And you and I have been looking over an article by CNBC called "Cooler Monthly Inflation Report pushes mortgage rates even lower." And I think this is where people are getting a little bit excited. This is where I'm getting
Yeah.
excited. So where you're getting excited. Let's bring a little business into the office. Mortgage rates went up And then within a week or so, they went down and they went below. I always want to use basis points, but I forget that a lot of people don't know what basis points are. So it went below 7.5%. So people, good qualified borrowers are getting below 7.5% right now, which doesn't seem great for a lot of people, but it is, right? It is lower than it's been. Is that what you're seeing as well out there?
Yes, and like literally, how it is when you're
Mm-hmm.
putting together like the breakdowns of what the monthly mortgage can look like.
Mm-hmm.
There is a huge difference between these, percentages and drops, less
Mm-hmm.
than a point. It does make a difference when it comes to the dollar and how much
Sure.
I'm able to afford and how much I'm going to go out and shop for on the reverse end to buy a house.
Yeah.
But what's crazy is when we think back, because we were talking about it a little bit ago, that around that 3%, the interest rates when they were.
Mm.
And now when we're like, hey, it dropped to 7.5 or a little
Right.
less, people are still like, that's expensive. That's high,
Mm-hmm.
but it's healthy and it's average, wouldn't you
Mm-hmm.
say? So it's not that far fetched. It's like, okay, this is not quite 8%. It's looking exciting. And I'll tell you on the back end, if you're out there looking for a house, you feel it already. You feel the
Mm-hmm.
difference, as far as people
Yeah.
submitting offers.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm less, and this is such a long conversation. We obviously, maybe we need to do another podcast together, right? But the issue isn't the housing market necessarily, right? Because the housing market, I think, is fluctuating in what to me seems like a normal pace. Now, granted, California, depending on where you're at, might be a tad aggressive, but if you look nationally, there's a lot of affordable homes out there. Still, people that can pick up homes under $100,000. You can pick up a house or a home in Texas for that would be a
Mansion.
$3 million home here
Yes.
for seven, $800,000 there. So we talk about California because that's where we at. I do loans throughout California. You do real estate out here in the greater Sacramento area, and so it's a bit different. But ultimately, I think where we're sitting on the real estate market, where we're not, and granted we need more inventory, but on the rates, yeah, somewhere between 6 and 7% is healthy. It makes sense for the real estate market. What
Mhm.
doesn't make sense is what people are making. That's the problem, right? The
Good point.
amount of money that people are making hasn't increased enough to make people feel like 6 or 7% makes sense. And it's
Mhm.
not the real estate markets that's the problem. It's the workforce, the employers, things like that, that aren't paying their employees and haven't jumped it up, right? And my wife talked about this all the time. And this is, I mean, the millennials, the Gen Zs, they know this the best, right?
Mhm.
What's the quickest way to jump up your salary? It's to move job every 2 to 3 years, right? Instead of getting your annual 2 to 3% bump, which can be okay, whatever. But when you see an economy like ours that has significantly jumped, that's a problem. Is you just jump jobs, and they'll give you 10%, 15%, 30% jump in what's happening. And that to me makes sense of why the job market is the way that it is, right?
Mhm.
So I'm sure you've seen this as well. I mean, you're in the nursing industry. I'm sure people jump all the time.
That's so funny. Me and Mo were talking about this last week. I was like, listen, in medical world, like people don't, unless they're Kaiser, and I say that just because a lot of people associate
Mm,
Kaiser as the place to be for employment because they have great
mm,
benefits. They're always on strike. Just kidding, but they
mm,
really are. But anyway, but there's stability. That's what
mm,
everybody associates. But realistically, most people in the medical do jump around every
mhm,
so many years. And you seldomly find someone that says, oh yeah, I've been at this company, this hospital, this home health, or this
mhm.
skilled facility for 13, 15 years. It's like, number one is they hold 2 3 jobs. Number
Right.
two is they probably jumped around, and that's because the pay rates are so aggressive and you can negotiate so many different variances depending on what kind of work you do and where you work.
Mhm,
So it's true. I mean, it's like you got to go where the bang for your buck is, and ultimately money talks. So it
mhm,
makes sense what you're saying. I like that point of view. It's like if our income matched the hike and the decline, but it
mhm,
also associates with what we're dealing with, right? Cost factor, how much it cost. to live. I mean, we
Yeah.
are in California, you guys. It's expensive. And
Mhm.
we know this. And you talk about Texas, you should see my wish
Mm.
list on my
Uh,
IG. It's like all those houses. I'm like,
mhm.
man,
Yeah, I
can
mean,
we even
it
afford
often
a house?
doesn't feel like that California is a five-star resort, but in the scheme, if you spend enough time in other states, when you look at weather and you look at proximity, it really is, right? Maybe for some people it's 3 stars, but ultimately, you're living in a luxury state where we have a lot of really great features, and that's sort of what you're
Yes.
paying for. You're not always paying for the exact property you're getting, but also keep in mind because we live in this state, we gain equity, right? Not every state is an equity state. You buy a house in one area, it does not gain equity the way that California does, and so you have to sort of weigh that out. But I don't want to harp on that too much. We are looking at potentially rates going down to 6% next year, and if that is the case, that means you need to start preparing now. So reach out to myself, reach out to Lisa, because we need to get you prepared to be successful going into next year. Let's talk a little bit
Absolutely.
about some local information. Um, I sent this over to you. I was
You did.
surprised to hear this. There is a potential toll coming to Sacramento between West Sac and Davis. In my head, I initially thought Causeway, like that's somewhere in there.
Me too.
Yeah,
Me too. That's
but it's
weird.
yeah, the freeway toll lane is proposed for I-80 Highway 80. Um Jesus, like is Sacramento becoming the Bay Area? Is that what's
What did
happening?
I say? What do I keep preaching? Why do we
Mm.
even do this show, you guys?
Uh,
Because I'm trying to tell everybody, listen, we are right here nestled in this area that's still developing and
mhm,
people are like migrating here. And now look at it. It's going to feel like the Bay where we're paying to cross over the lines. I was
mhm.
like, oh, that's crazy. It's not
Yeah.
the Bay Bridge, but it's going to be just as expensive at some point because $465 million project, you guys, for
Mhm.
this. This is nuts.
Yeah, I have a couple friends over at Caltrans. I need to talk to them and see what's going on. And like some of my state buddies, I need to talk to them and be like, "Yo, what's going on with this project? How much
Why
time
are
do I
you
have
doing
to
this?
start saving for tolls?" Like Jesus.
Yeah,
Uh,
what's that fast track?
mhm.
Like, right now, if you travel to the Bay or whatever, you
Yeah,
use the fast track because if you cross any bridge, they just take a picture of your
yeah.
license plate. And I was
Mhm.
thinking, like, why do I get offended every time I get a ticket? And it's not a ticket, it's just the
Yeah,
toll.
yeah. I like that system though. I do feel bad
Yeah.
for, people who are toll employees, but yeah, it's so weird to have to pay an entrance fee to go to San Francisco and other parts of the Bay Area, and then now we're gonna have to pay. I don't go out to Davis very much, but apparently, if I want to leave Sacramento in that direction, I'm gonna have to pay. So that's gonna be
Mac, you don't
interesting.
even go out. Look what happens when you
What?
go out.
I know. It's a problem. It's a problem. Why don't we jump into the community breakdown and you can tell us a little bit about what's going on in East Sacramento?
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Okay, honestly, you guys, this is like one of my favorite areas. If I had my forever home, don't tell Mo, but it would be there.
Mm,
Can't say that I can afford it, but I would even take any single one of those houses.
mhm,
I don't care if it's the smallest one on the block. I want it. Why? Because they're like so cute and like detail oriented and unique. Unique in their own make model. There's no replica of them. So they're so like adorable. But anyway, population wise, a little over 12,000. It's like this area because I thought of it because we're right around the corner from Christmas. And it's definitely a location where if you and your family want to go or have a date night, they have in the Fab 40s where you can literally drive around and check out all the houses that have all the Christmas lights and music, and they even string lights across the streets and just like it's so festive. It's such a
mhm.
vibe over there. Have you ever seen it?
Yeah, I love that area. And guys, if you want to help us and by supporting the show, we only need to do about 100 deals next year, and you can help us get into the Fab 40s. So go ahead and reach out to us and help us make our dreams come reality. And in essence, you guys will have made your dream become a
In
reality by
essence.
supporting us.
I love it. I love it. So at one point I did live there. It was just like this small period of my life,
Mhm,
right off of our street. But I'm telling you, I was probably it was the only like duplex townhouse that
mhm,
was like a 3 level,
mhm.
and every other house on the whole blocks were mansions. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this is interesting. But one thing I did learn, and this is in particularly what reminds me of like that area, is when you are looking, you literally have to look at the neighborhoods. We talk about this, right? Like drive around at different times of day, check out the local parks, right? So I thought of McKinley Park is a
Mhm,
huge park over there. I used to run around that, and it's such a good run. I think
mhm.
it's like 1 point something miles if you do one time around, but it's
Right.
so picturesque and pretty, and everybody's out there walking their dogs. They have this like this little park within a park
Mhm,
where it's like a rose garden. Have
mhm.
you ever seen it?
Yeah, no, I love that area. I used to spend a lot of time around that area. And my favorite home in Sacramento is actually right across the street from the tennis courts there. It has vines on the roof. You can go look at
Oh.
it. And I it looks really small from the front. And I always thought, man, someday I'm gonna buy that house. And then my friend sent me the listing went up and it was 1 point, I think $3 million, and that property now is probably closer to 3 million. It's huge. It has the interior is all dark oak and like dark marble on the ground. It's really kind of
Mhm.
creepy and cool looking. And it has like a little house in the back as well, and it has a
I
pool.
love
Like
that.
it's
Yes.
insane. Yeah, they're little sleeper homes back there, but they're crazy expensive. So if you
Yes.
want to help me get into that home, guys, we only need about 300 sales or so next month or next year, and we'll make that dream come a reality.
But talking about neighborhoods and East Sac, there are some staples there. And if you haven't been to them, I would definitely encourage you to do so. And I love finding things because I'm a foodie.
Hmm.
So it's like, have you ever tried, what is it called? Roxy's Deli?
Yeah, Roxy's is the
Yes.
bomb. I love Roxy's. I get their
When they do the barbecue outside.
hot link sandwich.
Mm,
So good. They make do barbecue there. It's dude, it's ridiculous. But
I
it's sort of
know.
you walk into it and you're kind of like, what is this hipster freaking
Yes.
sandwich place? But then you eat it and you're like, Jesus, this is totally worth it.
I have not been there in years, but when I was thinking about what's popular over there, because I used to
Mhm,
like go to like the little shops, and I love the coffee shops. I just love the whole feeling of like, I'm gonna go get a cup of coffee and just sit
mhm.
and take it all in. I thought of that place. I was like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that. Why haven't I been there since
Yeah.
I lived over there? But as far as like income, because we were talking about this, right? We are talking about like how can you afford this? The median going income over there, 116,000. That's
Yeah, I
all.
bet that's not right though,
I
because I
bet
bet a lot of that's based off of people owning these homes for a really long time.
right.
Yeah, because
Let's
I mean,
add a couple.
yeah, I have some friends that live out there and they have to make way more than that to afford the home that are
Yes.
out there. So
I'm thinking
there's
per
also
person,
yeah,
maybe.
there's also another restaurant out there right next to the park that we were just talking about, Orphan, and
Oh,
it's really good. It's a small little place, but it used to be cash only. I'm hoping that that's not the case. I haven't been there in years, but I know
cool.
it's still there because I've driven past it, and it's very good. It's like all these little pocket. We talked about this in the last one. All these little pocket places are really good. So
Wait, what
yeah,
kind of food is it? I'm curious. Or-
breakfast, mostly
Oh,
breakfast.
nice. I like that. Okay, which brings me to bacon and butter.
Hmm.
They move locations, but it's like on the outskirts, almost like if you're going by Tahoe Park,
Yeah.
Curtis Park, like these areas. I kind of like put it in here because if you guys are looking for something with that East Sac vibe or
Mm,
feel, but more affordable,
right.
then yeah, Curtis Park, Land Park, East Park, and then even industrial area in Roseville. They were kind of liking it to an East Sac filling,
Mm,
and the Foothills Junction in Roseville. So definitely, if you're thinking about the housing market, you want to check out, what's current on the market, what can I afford? I can definitely give you listings. We can go look at them, house hunt. I'm in the mix right now with a couple clients, and I'll tell you, even what is it? Colonial Heights is super cute as
mm,
well. And I think what gives the feeling when you're looking at houses is the uniqueness to each home.
mhm.
They're individualized. And you mentioned the house that you loved that you can't afford.
Yeah.
They have like separate homes in the back, maybe a detached garage that they've converted. Super cool stuff, you guys. But it is rated 6 out of 82, according to Niche, as one of the best places or neighborhoods to live in Sacramento. So that's cool. And then 7 out of 82 neighborhoods, one of the best neighborhoods to raise children. So there you go. Yeah.
Are you going to introduce me into the conclusion?
Yeah. So anyway, for all the things that we can do, the must-goes, the must-haves, let's bring it back to you, Mac. What do we have to look forward to?
Well, guys, thank you guys for tuning into the show today. Always a great time to be able to jump on. It's time to prepare. If you're not buying now, but you are interested in buying, it's time to prepare. Reach out to myself. I will help you with a credit report analysis. Reach out to Lisa. She will help you with the community report analysis, and we will figure out how to make your dream come true by owning a home. Or if you're looking to increase your portfolio, reach out to us. We will help you guys out. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
Bye, everybody.